What up, YouTube? The Matthews mission hammer. Okay, so I got this bow last year, so 1 year update review. A lot of people like to get updates on certain products, and well, I think that bows are something that we should update after, say, our first year, and then maybe update it again, maybe 3 years down the road, okay, type of thing, right? Mainly because when somebody buys a bow, they're usually planning on keeping it for a good long time. Some people keep them for like ever, right? But it's also the durability of the bow. What have you put it through all this, and did anything happen and all this, right? So since last year, would have been actually the better part of last year that I was shooting this, obviously, when I got it. I've put more than 2,000 rounds through this thing of arrows because you guys know I've been experimenting with different grains, different spines, just finding that right mix that this thing seems to like. Now, I haven't gotten into Eastern Axis arrows or any of the FMJ stuff or any of that sort of thing. I mean, I'm hunting, like any other bow hunter that's, going after deer, maybe moose or bear, definitely that sort of thing, right? So deer, moose, and bear, you're usually a lot of hunters, at least, depending on what country you live in. I'm in Canada, but either way, even in the States, you're looking at somewhere between 30 yards and under, usually no more than 40 yards and under, because, well, bows are kind of weak compared to a firearm, right? So we have limitations. We have accuracy limitations. We have wind that can affect our arrows more faster than what, the wind can affect a bullet, that sort of thing. We also have seasons, like in Canada for deer, for example, where there's only 2 weeks out of the entire season, so we got a couple months, where firearms are in use, right, or allowed to be in use. So with that, I mean, if you want to hunt anywhere in between that, no firearm, you got to hunt with a bow. All right, that's the law. So anyway, now last year, of course, I didn't have my PAL. This year I do, and etc. I'm not sure if I'm going to take part in the firearms part of this season. It kind of depends on how things go with hunting this year for deer. Because if I do get a deer at the beginning of the season, because I'm really crossing my fingers that I do actually get the doe tag from the draw that we have to go in for the antlerless deer. If I get that, then I know I'm not going to have to worry about firearm season. I'll have a doe probably within the first week, because wow, they come around more often than bucks do, and they come out at the according proper hours for hunting time, right? Anyway, so let's get on to the bow here. I got this from the archery place in Corbeil, which is about 23 minutes, basically, 17 to 23 minutes from my place, so not too far away. I got the bow used. I paid $250, I believe it was, for the bow itself. Full retail of $350 on the site, and it is a left-handed sight, left-handed bow. And of course, we add on the quiver and all the other goodies, and 85 bucks later for a friggin' release. Octane whisker biscuit, which we'll be doing a separate review on, but I will say this much. Well, after that many rounds, I've been noticing, of course, accuracy is falling out a bit on me, especially the up and down and a little bit on the left and right. And it has nothing to do with my sight or me. It has to do with this thing's getting pretty damn warm. So I called them up and I says, well, what's it going to cost me for a new one? Because I just didn't care when we were putting the bow together. I had money in the pocket and I just paid the bill, right? So it's about $35 to replace this. And I thought, well, for more money I can get the good old popular Trophy Ridge whisker biscuit. And of course, these things you can actually replace inserts on, where this you cannot replace the insert apparently. So that kind of really dogs, because that's a lot of good metal there. That's all going to go to basically waste because we can't replace the insert. At least that's what he tells me. So it's kind of like, well, I don't know. Maybe we'll see if we can maybe try something third party. I don't know. I mean, if I can get it out of here and put a new one in, fine. But Otherwise, I said screw it. And anyways, so for now, I've taken the one that I had on my stinger bow and thrown it on here. And because it's still in absolute great shape, even after all its years of being on the bow, and Lord knows how many shots, but even I put a lot of shots through this one. And this whisker biscuit is still holding up like brand new. Mind you, it does have a reinforced bottom of bristles, which this model does not. What you get on the main perimeter is what you get all the way, right? Where Trophy Ridge has a color for a reason in that resting point, because those whiskers are a lot stiffer and take a lot more abuse, so you're going to get a lot more usage per insert, because even the inserts aren't cheap, right? But at least you can do them. So this I'm not even sure if we can put a third-party one, but I will do a separate review on this because I think that's kind of important. Same as we'll do a separate review on that, but this is because this is about the bow, okay? As far as the bow goes, I have had this in some severe freezing cold weather because I do live in Canada. And, you know, I would sit in the blind and every once in a while I'd pick up the bow, even though there's nothing coming around, and I would draw it back. I want to see if I'm going to have any problems with these frigid temperatures we get, because when you get that close to the end of deer season, it gets freaking cold in like November, December, especially in December, right? And I'm like, you know, you're kind of freezing to death. Well, not really. We had a heater in there. But the bow itself, though, is still getting really super cold, okay? Because we don't run the heater all the time in the blind, right? Just get the chill off, warm back up, shut her off. And the bow's had absolutely zero problems, okay? So at the beginning of this year in spring, once all the snow was gone, I set up a target to see if anything fell out, especially the string timing, because that's something that you got to keep an eye on bows, right? If your timing goes, you're going to know, because you're shooting all over the place, and it's like, what the hell? You know, like, what's wrong with my bow? Probably nothing, just you should take it in, get it serviced, and have the string, you know, shorten back up on the cables, and you'll be fine. Because I did have to get that done once at the beginning when I got this. Within the first couple of weeks, I had to get it adjusted because, hey, new bow, what do you want, right? It's going to need it. And it hasn't budged since, not a bit. So I don't know what Mathews uses for strings and cables, but damn, that stuff's good. Now, this is also a dual cam, okay? And with that, right now I'm set at, I believe it's about 56 pounds, all right? And my arrows are popping out of here about 220 feet per second. They're 400 spine, 400 grain arrows, which the bow seems to really, really enjoy doing, especially at that weight pull. 500s didn't do so well. So anyways, so I'm running 400s, and they're a great hunting arrow, even though they are Easton's cheaper version. Okay, these cost me about 14 bucks a pop, somewhere around there. So they're not the hunter class or this or that kind of thing. But hey, at $14 an arrow, that's still pretty damn expensive either way. But they fly good and true. They spin really true. Never had any issues, okay? If I happen to miss the bullseye, it's definitely me. And with the new target I'm using, I have an even smaller thing to look at from even 20 yards away. So I decided this morning to fire off a few rounds after changing this over, and I just had to do some minor adjustment on my windage on the actual rest. So if you're changing out a whisker biscuit or some kind of rest you need to change, at least visualize in your brain where the spacing is, up, down, left, and right, and try and set the new one identical. So my balancing point is dead center, which is where I did have this. And I still have room to go up and down, but I had to make sure that the bracketing was dead center so that it followed across, right? And that part was okay, because that's just a minor thing. It's not a big deal. But if you start going this way, well, down goes up and up goes down, as you know. So I had dead center on this, and we were good. It's the left and right. I had to adjust a little bit on this to get it right back on. I'm within about I would say, 1/4 of an inch from a dead center bullseye shot. So I think that considering my bullseye is like, you know, yay big around, it's not quite it. It's not even close to a tennis ball. It's actually, I don't know, diameter wise, probably pretty close to this ring, which is around maybe 2.5 inches. Maybe, well, this is more like 2 inch. So I'd say my bullseye is about 2 inches, right? And that's a lot to see from 20 yards away. It's small. And so I took a few shots, and you know, I'm not perfect, but I did get a good one right in that bullseye area, and I was literally like a quarter of an inch from dead center. So that's kind of me on that one, right? And so that's set up perfect again. But the bow has given me not one bit of trouble all season last year. Didn't give me any trouble after getting the timing reset. So yeah, and the winter, it didn't care. No issues. And yet, I mean, these parts here, these are plastic, you know, and then we already know these are usually always fiberglass, but none of this gave me absolutely any problem, okay? Even the Octane quiver is actually doing extremely well. No issues with it, with the lockup or, you know, flimsiness or any of that sort of thing. It's been fine. And I really do enjoy the Hoyt pieces, even though they cost me a crap load of money. But I really enjoy the Spot Hog. So it's a good bow, and once set up properly, it's extremely and deadly accurate. So I think if you're looking for, well, this hammer version is no longer available. It's been replaced. So you might find a used one online, okay? Bow companies, they come out with so many new bows every year. They discontinue other models, or they just cut them off but don't discontinue, but at least they still service the things literally forever. And the one thing nice about Mathews is anything happens to this in my ownership, it's fixed for free. And if I sell it to somebody, that warranty follows for life to every owner. And it's like, that's pretty friggin' sweet. You know, so I'm like, that's not too bad. So, you know, this is one of those things where when you pay, you know, not a king's ransom, or you pay the king's ransom, maybe the queen, because she's a little more costly, you know, you're getting really good out of Mathews, you know. And Mathews has had some problems, yes, but all companies have, even Hoyt. And Mathews is really quick that if you're going to be just something you can replace yourself, that needs to be warranted, they'll just send you the parts. You'll have them within a couple of days. Unlike Hoyt, it could be a couple of months. So, but either way, I mean, probably closer to deer season, I'll get my guy to go over the bow just to, you know, make 100% sure there's nothing to worry about, nothing worn that I need to worry about, that sort of thing. But I don't think we're going to have a problem anyways. But I just like to go on the side of caution, right? And I got to check my timer. 13 minutes, not bad. So I'm not going to give you a grade on this for, you know, 5 stars, 4 stars, or any of that. I think if you look back at my original video, I did do that. And I would stand behind that even now. Because even, you know, 1 year later, the only thing that went wrong was just my whisker biscuit. But hey, that's got several thousand rounds through it, I mean, and it's not exactly high class in comparison to some of the whisker biscuits out there that are much more durable. But hey, everybody's got to start somewhere, and this does work exceedingly well, and it'll hold up for several thousand rounds. But you know, and I could probably get a few, you know, a few more 100 or so, or maybe another 1,000 or 2 rounds. But I figured once this starts to separate back here like it is, and a little bit up in the front, it seems a little thinner. This seemed to be crouching downward a bit, and yeah, I'm kind of like, well, you know what, I'm going to replace that, because I need the bow in top working order when it comes to deer season again. But and in the meantime, I can, you know, do my target shooting and re-hone my skills and prep ahead. You know, I have no need to adjust the weight for the draw weight on it. It's fine. Everything else is good to go. So anyway, if you do find one of these things somewhere, or you want to buy the brand new version, I believe they still make the hammr. I haven't checked at all this year if the hammr is still on there, but pretty sure it probably is. and it has different options now for colors. But and I also like Mathews too, because they make their bows left or right-handed with no price difference. So that's kind of a real nice thing for us lefties out there. But anyway, I think the next time we approach this bow for any kind of an update will probably be a couple years from now, if I don't forget. You never know, right? But in the meantime, it's still an extremely good, viable, nice bow. It'll take the cold temperatures. It's going to take the hot temperatures. I only had to get the timing adjusted once since I bought it, which is kind of normal. And the timing is still set dead bang on the string and cable, so absolutely no issues there. But make sure that whatever you're using for a rest is something that not only you like, but something that's going to have that durability overall. I may get away from Whisker Biscuits down the road and go to something different, but I kind of really like them because it traps the arrow in there. So you could be walking, you know, down the trails and stuff with an arrow loaded, ready to go. You know your arrow's going to still be in there. It ain't falling out, because these things trap your arrow, which is nice. Okay. Anyhow, that's it. That's all. So see ya.